What's up guys, welcome back to the TB Lecture channel. Today we're showing you a really cool new product. It is a turn signal kit from Project 9 Designs, and this is our eRide Pro SR, and we're gonna show you guys this whole kit right now, and then we're gonna jump back in time and show you how to install it and exactly how to get it working. We have already installed this kit on a bunch of other e-moto models, so if you don't have an eRide SR, check out the other videos up on screen to find the bike that you have, and they likely have a kit for you, and we have a full guide for installing it. Let's get this one installed. So let's check it out. We have our front turn signals right here. These traditionally will mount on the side of your stock fork right on the bolt hole right here. Since we don't have a stock fork, we mounted them with a zip tie onto our number plate and it worked perfectly. So now if I turn the bike on, let me show you those blinkers working in action. We're blinking right, we're blinking left, and you can actually program how fast you want these to flash. So you can do that within this kit. Now let's check out our switch right here. So that is going to be your switch. You got left and you've got right. There is no hazard flash, and this horn button doesn't actually do anything. It's just built into the switch that they chose. Now all the wiring runs through the bike super simply. Let's check out our rear tail light. So this bad boy is a whole new unit, and you've got your flashers built into it, and you also have a flashing brake light if you pull your brake. Now this only works if you have a brake sensor on your bike, but that's pretty sweet that you can do that. Let's jump back in time and show you guys how to install it. Come on over here, let's check this kit out. So this is from Project 9, 3-pin eRide turn signal kit. For the eRide SR, you need the 3-pin version, but it's also really important to check your bike to make sure you are purchasing the right kit. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I love this Project 9 kit. We've already installed it on a couple other bikes, and it's really well priced for what you're getting. So let's check this out. This is our new tail light. This has blinkers built into it and a flashing brake light built into it. They give you a new mount to mount that up, as well as the hardware. This is our 3-prong adapter kit. So this will plug into the back of the bike by your tail light, and then that will then plug into this wire harness, which will run from the back of the bike to the front of the bike, and this is your blinker switch. So you can go left and right on your blinkers. The horn button is built in there. That's just not a function of this kit. It just is built into this switch panel. These two plugs here are going to go to your front blinkers. So these bad boys are going to mount on the side of your fork. Now normally on the stock SR, there is a little mount right here to mount this. We don't have that on our upgraded fork, so we're gonna use some zip ties today, but you would mount it on a little screw hole right here. And then those will plug in, and you guys are gonna be good to go. So let's get this kit installed. Let's remove our battery. I'm gonna walk you through this entire process. So on the SR, we have our comms port, and we need to trace out our 2 battery plugs. There is no breaker on the SR, so we don't need to worry about flipping a breaker. Pull both of these out. And now we're gonna get our battery out. Sometimes this is a bit of a tight fit. Pull that out. Set that to the side. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're actually going to remove our lid right here, and that's going to give us a little bit more room to work, and then remove our key ignition plate. 4mm Allen for both of those. 1 bolt out. 2 bolts out. Grab our lid, put our bolts inside of it so we don't lose them. I'm going to go ahead and put both of those bolts in our lid as well and set it to the side. Now our key ignition plate can come out of the way. It's still got a lot of wires connected to it. We're just going to kind of set that to the side. This will give us more room as we work from the back of the bike to the front of the bike and run all of our wiring. Now let's go under the seat by the tail light. Let's remove our bottom cover here. So we've got 4 4mm Allen bolts, 1, 2, 3, and 4. To remove all those, and our cover will come down. All right, 4 bolts out. Here we go. Dropping that down, and what you should see is these 3-pin wires, and that's why we're using the 3-prong eRide Pro kit. So now we're just gonna set these bolts to the side, and we're going to trace back this little plastic here, and sometimes they just unplug super easy, so that's great. Just unplug them. My wire came out, as I've actually unplugged this before. So if that happens to you, that's okay, because you're not going to be using your tail light anymore. But we want those 3 sitting just like that. Now we're going to move our new tail light to this plastic piece and remove our old one. So you should have 2 Phillips bolts just Phillips screws screwed into the plastic here. We're going to pull both of those out, and that's going to take off our old bracket, and we're going to pull these wires through their little hole. We're just going to set our old light to the side. And now we're going to take our new bracket. We're going to use the same hardware, the 2 little Phillips head screws that we removed, to put this back on. Make sure not go too tight on this or you will strip the plastic. Since you're screwing into something soft, you don't want to go too tight. Just go nice and snug. Okay, now we have our new bracket here, and now we have our tail light. So we're going to peel off our little sticker on there. Looks nice. Now this is not going to fit through that little hole that the old one did, so we're just going to line it up, and you want to make sure you got your right and your left sides correct, because otherwise your turn signals aren't going to be going the right direction. So let's go to the back of the bike, make sure we got it all lined up correctly. So if we put this kit goes just like that. So we want to make sure we've got, yep, right side on this side, left side on this side. So we're just going to go ahead and line it up, and we're going to tuck this wire through that little slit. You guys see that? Okay, when I put this on, I did not remove these 2 little plastic nuts. That's how it's actually going to mount. So I'm keeping it oriented the same so I don't get confused. Taking my nuts off. Hey, why are you guys laughing?
These plastic nuts. That looks like
Nice nuts. Okay, nuts on there. Should be an 8mm socket. Perfect. Okay, should look like that, nice and clean. Now this wire is just going to run like that. So when we put it up, you can pick your side. It's going to go up here, and we got a lot more wiring to add. So let's go back to the back of the bike. We're going to bring our 3-prong guy here, and then our full wire harness. So let's go right here. So this guy is going to plug into these 3 connectors. All right, this should be the correct way. We're going to go dark blue to light blue. I'm just going to plug those all the way in. They kind of make a little snap. And then we're going to go black to green, and we're going to go red to black. Now, I know that doesn't quite make sense, but it didn't make sense to me either, but now it does. We want to slide our rubber protection over those, so if they touch each other, they don't spark or short. All right, guys, just to reiterate the order, we've got red to black, black to green, dark blue to light blue. And we just verified and checked that this was, in fact, correct and good to go. So now we have this connector, and that is going to plug into our whole harness here that goes up to the handlebar. But before we plug it in, we're going to run it from the front to the back. And then we also have both of our blinkers here that we're going to mount up to our fork and run our wiring in as well. And then we'll trace it back to the back to plug into our rear connector here and our rear tail light. I am going to put our blinker switch right here on the right side because the SR has so much going on the left. There's really just no room. So to do that, we're going to loosen our throttle and slide it off. Hopefully I have enough room. A trick is to turn your handlebar and you get a little bit more, but I don't think we're still quite getting enough. So throttle off, we're going to slide this on.
How'd you get the throttle off?
I just loosened my cable a little bit further down here so it slide off enough. Now, throttle back on. Okay, and now we have all this to deal with. This, we're going to run, I'm going to cut the faceplate off so we can run right here, and then behind the triple clamp, and then down into all this wiring right here. The key with wiring, it's not fun, but it's important to make it all clean. Make sure everything has enough room for when you're turning your handlebars, stuff like that. You want it to last a long time through the elements, riding in the rain and everything like that. You want it to be nice and clean. So we're going to take this, come around to the front here. We're going to tuck this whole thing. I'm going to go on this side through here. Then Your brake sensor, your throttle, and everything can kind of all go together right here. And then this we have here, this technically, this part needs to run to the back of the bike. And this goes to our turn signals. So when we need to basically tuck the majority of this wire into here to get it out of the way. But first we're gonna just put it where it needs to go, and then we'll clean it up. So right here you guys can see there's this plastic panel. We've got 1, 2, 3 screws. We need to remove those because we're gonna run the wire behind it, kind of right next to these wires right here. Okay, set that panel aside. Now let's go ahead and put our turn signals on the front so we have that wiring ready to go. So these are labeled. One of them says right and one says nothing. So you got to make sure you plug the right one in to the right side of the harness that says right, and also put it on the right side of the bike, which is the drive side. Side with the chain, drive side. The bike we're working on, like I mentioned, does not have these holes to mount the turn signals. So we're just going to use some zip ties, but your bike should have a hole just like this. You're going to take the provided bolt, put it in just like this one, and then I ran the wiring right here to the front under the faceplate and then through the front leg right here into the bike. So that's what you're going to do. I'm not going to mount it just yet because I want to make sure my faceplate is put on so I'm mounting it in a good location. So I'm just going to run the wire through and get it ready to be plugged in. I'm just going to leave them sitting there. So now we have both of our turn signals. And then here on our wire harness, you should have a right, plug it into the right. And then you have no label and no label. Plug into each other. Okay. And now this part needs to go back through here. So I'm going to route it above this little panel right here. There's a little flat metal bar. I'm going to route it up above that. It's going to be hard to see, but. So now we have this, and our tail light. So all this is going to plug together. There's really only one way to plug it in. So it's pretty hard to mess up. And we're just going to plug everything into their corresponding connector. Just like that. Now you should have 3 wires going into the bike. And you have your tail light right here. Now comes the fun part. So we need to figure out where all of this is going to go. All right, I believe this is the best way that it's going to work. So you have our 3 wires going towards the front right here. We have our tail light wire going down here to the tail light. And we have these 3 connectors plus our 3 pins. So I think that all this will fit just like this. And you might have to do a little bit of experimenting to get it to fit flush, but that went up really easy. And now we can go ahead and put in our 4 4mm Allen screws right there. And I'm just going to make sure this is tucked up away. And then once we're all mounted up here, we can pull any excess wire towards the front of the bike. All right, guys, all 4 of our bolts are in. Our tail light is mounted, super snug. Let's go figure out the rest of our wiring. So everything is plugged in here, so theoretically everything should now work, but we got to figure out where to put this stuff. Really, we got to start just pushing some of these wires down out of the way. Grab both of our turn signals, push them inside here. We're going to run all this back inside towards the front as best we can. And then we're going to have to put that plastic panel back on. So now that's looking pretty dang clean. Bring the camera around the other side so you can see this. So as you can see, all of our wires can kind of tuck right back where they were underneath that plastic panel. As you're putting these in, you want to make sure not pinch any wires or smash them. So just make sure you've got everything lined up the best way that you can. And it's good to not go too tight yet. This last one seems like it's a little more snug, but looks like it pushes the wires out of the way just perfectly. Snug all those up. Sometimes it's really easy to just have them all slightly loose until you get them all in and then snug them up. Now we got our nice wiring right here. We got our wiring going towards the front. All right, we're gonna grab our key ignition cover, put that back on. Sometimes this is real tight with how many wires are coming out of it, but we got our 2 4mm Allens. Now, put our battery door back on. We are almost done. All right, let's go ahead and plug our battery back in, give it a try. I haven't mounted up my turn signals yet, but we can check and make sure that they work. Go. Number 1. Plug number 2. And our comms plug. Let's turn the bike on, see what happens. Let's check our tail light. It does a whole power on sequence. Look at that, that thing's nice looking. Okay, let's check our brake light. As a reminder, this brake light will only flash when you pull your brake if you have brake sensors in your bike. Technically, you only need one brake sensor, but your brake light will only work on the brake that the brake sensor is plugged into. So let's check this out. I have a brake sensor on this brake. When I pull that, it flashes. That's awesome. So one cool thing about the E-Ride SR specifically is that, like me, a lot of people remove their brake sensors because they don't like it cutting their throttle, but then you can't have a flashing taillight. And so, but the cool thing about the SR is that in the E-Ride Pro app, you can actually turn off or disable the brake sensors so that they don't cut your throttle when you're riding, but they still are in the system, and so they will still work as a brake light. So you can have the best of both worlds. So I recommend leaving your brake sensors in, and if you don't want them functioning, just turn them off in the app. So guys, this is a super clean setup. It's pretty easy to install and everything, wire in, and it's going to work phenomenally. If you don't have an E-Ride SR and you have a different kind of e-moto, it's very likely that they make this kit for your bike, and it's also very likely that we also have a video installing it for you. So if you guys are interested in any other videos, check out the TB Electric channel, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you want to purchase this kit, it's in the video description. See you later.